Hello, everybody. My name is Joshua Harper, and we're here with J Talk. I'm joined by my student co-host Jerry. One here. Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Or just one hero. I don't think the Jerry really matters anymore.
It does matter.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out to the podcast again with my friend Joshua Harper. You see how stupid that sounds?
Yo, but Jay, then it's not J Talk. It's J Talk 'cause you're Jerry. I'm Josh.
Just Jay, man. Not just Jay. Jerry, one hero. The fuck?
Jerry one here. All right.
Oh my God.
And we got lots of great stuff. We got some really cool guests today, and we're here to talk about fan art. Jay, why don't you go ahead and introduce them?
We have the man, the myth. No, I'm joking. We have Mikhail Sebastian, the creator of Mythallica Lux Nova, and we also are joined by Nikolas Draper-Ivey, the creator of multiple things. Oh, I practiced for a week straight. I didn't want to get it wrong on the air. Thank you.
Somehow people, they read it and they're just like, is it Nikolas Ivey? Is it Nikolas Draper? It's Ivy Draper? I'm like, it's clearly Draper-Ivey. It's not hard. It's really not hard.
Yeah.
But you have two names. How do people handle two last names?
I don't know. Just read it.
So I'll go ahead and get right into the thing, and the questions that I wanted to ask were like for people to know, who are you? So I'll start with Mikhail. Like, who are you? What do you create, and why do you create it?
Oh wow. I'm an illustrator. I've been drawing since as long as I can remember. Seriously, since I was 15. I attended the Savannah College of Art and Design, where I pretended to actually be in school and do work and be an adult for about 4 years. Right now, I'm in the process of just kind of working the entrepreneurial route, doing my own thing, mostly because no one will hire me. I'm also working on volume 2 of my book. I released the first one last year due to a successful Kickstarter campaign, which I'm proud of.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's one mark to knock off on the list to prove that I'm not a complete failure at life. Other than that, I'm working on volume 2 now, and I draw all day, every day. It's how I make my money. It's how I stay alive.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and I'll pass the same questions on to you, Nicholas.
Oh man, I don't even know if I can make it as interesting as that.
Says the guy who's like, this dude is Spider-Man. You just start off with, hi, my name is Nikolas Draper-Ivey, and I'm Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, okay. Some stuff about me. No, see, I'm not going to talk about that. I feel like that's one of those things that I shouldn't have to talk about. This is about art.
But it's still awesome.
Yeah, I'm also Spider-Man. All right, let's just get that out of the way. But besides that, some stuff about me. Like very much like Mikhail, is like I'm an illustrator. I like to write, like to draw, like all day, every day. It's a constant thing. But see, between drawings, there's always like moments of me just pulling out my eyeballs, trying to figure out like what I'm gonna draw. Like I haven't put anything out really at all. I'm very much a perfectionist, so it's taken me forever to put something out. But right now I am working on Dream Vesper, and that has been a treat because this is like, it's got some horror elements, it's got some fantasy elements, it's got some action, all that kind of stuff. It's got some comedy in there, but it's one of those stories that you have to be very careful to not mind fuck yourself when you're writing it. Like that's been my thing right now. But besides that, I'm mostly like just known for being the guy that's been pending his art for so long. Like I haven't put anything on. I'm just all hype right now, which is bad. Like I need to put something out. So I'm working on that. And this I guess brings to our topic, which is doing fan art. Basically getting that following up and making money the same way as Mikhail. That's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Jay.
thank you guys for answering those. So are you from Georgia, Mikhail?
Oh no, I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. And Nicholas, you are from
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's a Michigander like me. That's right.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
How do you end up in New York?
Oh, that's a long story. That is a long story and not the subject of this podcast.
I can attest for that for him. It is a long story.
It's a very long
That's
story.
fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
But Mikhail and I went to school together, which is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But we knew each other for like
Yeah.
4 years. 4 years before that.
Yeah, we knew each other before the college days. That's for sure.
For a good minute before college days.
And this rivalry has been for years. This has not been.
Yeah, we're
like,
over a decade. We just realized that now. So
Yeah.
over a decade.
Nice. Well, cool. Thanks for that because you answered like pretty much all of my questions. There's one last question, but I'll say that till the end. So,
Okay.
Josh, you can take it away.
All right, so I guess the big thing I want to talk about is like fan art. And now this has been something that's been on my mind. It's like it's a hard topic to talk about with a lot of people. And Mikhail and I were talking about this before. It's like a very touchy subject. A lot of people don't want to create fan art, but I think it's a detrimental thing. I'm curious. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Mikhail. Like, what do you think about fan art?
Well, like I said before, I'm definitely more of a believer now of it. Prior to this, I was kind of just I'm a stubborn person at heart, so sometimes you got to beat back the ego and realize, look, you trying to make money, or you trying to just stay broke with your ego. Ego wasn't paying the bills, so I was like, all right, well, and actually I talked to Nick a lot before I started doing this, and I was just asking him what are some of the things, because I always joke with Nick and I tell him if he dropped a bucket of water, the blogs would reblog it in a heartbeat. Like, that's the pull this dude has. Like, so I would go to him because my thing is like I guess my ego was kind of stopping me from realizing that fan art did have its place and it did serve its purpose. But when I made that decision that I was going to do it, I had no problem going to ask people like, yo, how you doing this? How you do that? Like, what's your Instagram posting schedule? All that stuff, like, just to figure out, how to appropriately build, that audience. And I'm starting to see that, fan art it's the way that people gravitate to your work. It's a good way to connect them to the stuff that you're actually doing that's yours. It's a good way to at least pull people in and, to entertain them. Then you throw them that, yo, guess what? I have a book too. And they go, oh, really? You have a book as well? I didn't see that coming. And then they buy the book. And it's one of the things that's, like I said before, I call it like a necessary evil. It's not so much that I don't want to make a career out of it, but it is a part of the career aspect of it, like a pretty big part too, a really significant part.
It's kind of like a musician that has to rap on somebody else's beats through their mixtape before they get their deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like you gotta supply that demand before you start making a demand of your own. And but yeah, so I've been doing it for at least consistently since about November, and I've gone up a lot. Like as far as followers, gotten a lot more social media gains since then. So it works. I mean, it works.
Yep.
Definitely.
Awesome. What do you think about this, Nick? Like, how do you feel about fan art?
Oh man, I think like Mikhail said, like it has its place. Like doing fan art, it will get you that following. Like you can do like 1,000,003 drawings of like your own stuff and not have like that big of a following. Or like people will like your stuff, but for some reason, if, you draw like a picture of Charlie Brown, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh!" And you're just like, "I have done, bigger things than this." But for some reason, people, they're gonna respond to something that they know, something that they resonate with like automatically, as opposed to your own stuff. They don't know your stuff just yet, so they're gonna see your style, your interpretation of these characters, and go off of that. Like I think Jake Parker was talking about that. He was saying how, you know, with fan art, people. He's an amazing artist, by the way. Like, if you ever, you know, do fan art, you know, people like gas you up and go, oh wow, this is really, really cool, and you think they're fans of you, but they're really, really just fans of that, you know, series, franchise, or whatever. So it's, you know, it has its place. Like, it has its ups and downs. It'll get you that following, get more people looking at you. But like Mikhail said, like, you wouldn't want to make a career. Not knocking anybody that does have a career in doing this or a profession, but you know, it's like that's not the thing that you ultimately want to do. Like, just make fan art all the time.
Yeah, awesome. So, like, my question, I guess, a follow-up question is, like, why do you guys create, like, these fan projects? Like, is there this feeling of, like, I want to do this character in my own light? Is it I want to kick down the door and I want people to see my artwork and see, hey, maybe I can get them interested in Mythallica or Dream Vesper? Like why do you create?
That's actually that's a good question, and it's going to completely contradict what I just said. Because if you're doing like fan art and you're trying to get someone's attention, like, you never know, that fan drawing might get you noticed by some bigger people. It may get you that job you've always wanted, or it may get you, you know, you never know. You may do like 1,003 different drawings of, you know, something else, and then you do like this really cool drawing of, I don't know, Batman, and then DC is like, oh, this guy should be the guy that draws Batman forever. We should hire him. You know, so you never know. Like, that one good fan art could get you, you know, a job, or could get you, like, you know, noticed by some bigger people. I think ultimately that's probably the goal for me, like, when doing fan art. It's like, I want these people to see this. So that's my overall goal.
So you would say, like, you want to get it's basically like a way for you to get your foot in the door, get people to see you, you know, I guess, and make an impression on people that's a positive one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Mikhail?
Some of the same, actually. Like, my intention, or the optimistic side of me, is like, okay, if I do a whole bunch of, because I was a Cartoon Network kid. Like, I grew up on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel, but like 80% of my time was on Cartoon Network. Like, all the Cartoon Network shows. Yeah, because you had Cartoon Network and you had Toonami. So, like, the optimistic side of me is like, okay, if I do a whole bunch of Cartoon Network stuff, Cartoon Network is going to see it and be like, hey, we should hire you. That hasn't happened yet, but I still want to keep going. But, like that's something that, like Nick said, a good reason to do this fan art is because you have the opportunity to potentially attract the attention of, you know, the people who created the thing that you're creating the art off of. Or, you know, the people who are affiliated in any kind of way, and that's a really good way to get your foot in the door, or to just get them to know that you exist. Like, them just knowing you exist gets you on their radar. Like, and that's a huge boost. So like, I mean, that's the optimistic side of me. Mostly is just for the kind of trying to build up my numbers, but I'm like, you know, plus side of this is maybe they'll see it and something will come from it. But I try not to, you know, worry about that too much, so I won't have to worry about being disappointed.
It's like the total opposite of me. Why didn't they like it yet?
So Jay, like, what do you think about fan? Like, we talked about, like, we're both, myself and Jay, aren't artists. We do, like, coloring sometimes, but we're writers through and through. We're not, our skills don't lie in the art department, to say the least. But we talked about, like, fan fiction. Jay, I'm curious, like, what do you think about fan fiction? Like, do you think fan fiction has the same effect?
I believe, from what I've seen on the intranet, upon my ways of looking, that is what a lot of people do. They'll take their Naruto and Sasuke fanfics of yaoi dreams and send it around to all get-ups. Or next thing you know, Captain America is in love with Tony Stark. Or
Tumblr. That sounds all like Tumblr.
Yeah, it's like you see a lot of that stuff that it just makes its way because people are writing it, especially like on DeviantArt and so on and so forth. I personally have not gotten into it because I, for the life of me, as a quote-unquote writer, cannot just write words and let them be. I have to see it become something of a visual, which is why it's taken me down the road of, having to commission artists to help bring my vision to life. So as far as fan fictions go, I've thought about trying to make, KO from Infinite into fan art with other characters that I appreciate, like Luffy or Naruto or the new Batman versus Superman, something like that. But then again, I'm like, do I see the value or do I see the point in it? So that's why I'm appreciative of this podcast, just to try to remove that skepticism that I have on myself on, going above and beyond that, out of that comfort zone and to try something different. Because, I've been writing Infinite since 2014. It's online, and it hasn't had nowhere near the success I would like it to, but it's got some success. People tune in every week to read the damn thing, so I'm doing something right for now.
Exactly.
Whether it's one person or five, so.
Yeah, I think there's, as a writer, it's kind of tough, because, what can I do to incorporate fan elements into my work? I'm obviously a fan of stories, and you can do the covers and stuff, and that's what I think is the way, if you wanted to create some kind of fan art, would be like I said, making a fan cover, just commissioning an artist to do a sketch with your characters just up as another, doing a a crossover piece, what is it called? Like Flaming Lotus with Infinite the Journey, just kind of doing this cross-promotion kind of thing. It kind of functions that same way, I think, as from the writing.
Or Mythallica or Lux Nova with Space Pop.
Yeah,
exactly.
Lux Nova with Space Pop. Exactly. But on the topic of fan fiction, I would like to say that as a writer, I would not be a writer if it wasn't for fan fiction. That's what got me into writing. It made writing easy. It was like writing with Legos. I had the characters, I have the scenes, I had the locations, I had these ideas. I just had to assemble it. Yeah, a lot of I would argue a lot of people get their start being a fan creator. A lot of people get their start drawing Naruto. That's a really popular one. A lot of people start drawing Naruto. A lot of people, when we were kids, think about it. When we were kids, you never went around and pretended and imagined and you were playing with characters, or is that just me and I'm crazy?
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, no, yeah. That was my childhood, man.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, that was it.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone starts off with it. I don't know why we gravitate away from it. I think
so
part of it is...
tell me that all of us have stood there for a couple of hours trying to conjure up a spirit bomb.
You know how many times I tried to turn Super Saiyan, bro? I was convinced I was going to turn Super Saiyan. I was like, yo, man, I'm about to turn Super Saiyan today. This shit's happening. Fuck that. I'm about to be Goku up in this bitch. Ah!
Mom, don't wait for me up. I'm going to become Goku today. But that's how I think I would argue that's how a lot of kids, especially our age, we grew up in that age with Dragon Ball Z and Sunday morning comics and stuff. To argue that that's how a lot of people got started. We started as fan creators. I don't think it's that big of a statement to say. So why do we gravitate away from it? Why do you guys think, as creators, why do you think people leave this idea of fan art, leave this idea of wanting to be someone that creates basically make this? Sorry, go ahead. I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
I think it's because as we grow up as creators and we become more creative, we start looking for individuality. So we try to separate ourselves from the things that could influence us too much. Because the one thing we all know creator wants to hear is, that reminds me of.
I
can tell you no one wants that. So at a certain point when you start realizing, okay, I'm going to take this seriously, as a career, I'm going to actually try to go somewhere with this. We start separating ourselves from the things that influenced us, because we don't want them to end up swaying our own creative direction. And so that was one of the reasons why I stopped doing it, because I was like, okay, I don't want to be compared to, I want my influences to show, obviously, because I'm influenced by them, but I don't want to be directly compared to these artists. You know what I mean? Because you could find up and coming artists that just straight up drawing Kishimoto style, 100%. And eventually they're gonna. That's where we all started. Eventually they're gonna end up breaking apart from that and start developing their own style. But that's the way we all kind of come up on that.
Yeah.
heavily just drawing in the style of that one specific artist we love. Because I was a Naruto head. Like I drew just like Kishimoto. That's what I wanted to do.
For me, it was like it's definitely like Obata. Like I had to dumb my style down because I can draw like if I wanted to, I could like just do a master copy of his work, but I don't, and I try not to because it can get to the point where it will look so much like it that people will go, "Whoa, that looks like," and I'm like, "Shit, I gotta change it." It kind of sucks because that means I'm not really able to show what I can really, really, really do. But I like that artist a lot. But at the same time, you don't want to be known as like the knockoff of so and so and such and such. You don't want to be like, oh, you're just like Kishimoto, or oh, you're just like Type Kubo, or like Obata, or
Yeah, you don't want to be like a poor man's artist.
Yeah, you don't want to
exactly.
be that. So you gotta like switch it up.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I would argue there's an element of individuality. I mean, I get it. Like, it's especially hard. Like, when you're creating something, you get so happy. It's really bad when you're stuck in your own head. We're all creatives. We all had that moment before where we're stuck in our own head with a project or an idea, and we're so excited about it. And then we see it or we hear about it in the real world, and you're just like, God, no, it exists. It's happened. And
several times. So it's just
you get.
If I had a quarter for every time that's happened, bro,
exactly,
I'd be rich. I wouldn't have to pay another artist for my life.
No, my girlfriend's like this anchor that draws me in. I'll go to her. I'll be like, dude, I thought of this really cool idea. Listen to this. Isn't this so cool? And then my girlfriend's like, you mean like such and such? I'm like,
but you know what, though? The truth behind that is that I'm sorry that we're not the first human beings on Earth. Like, don't ever compare me to the people of the past because I wasn't there and that I'm here now. Like, I'm here now. My story is going to be different. It may look the same. It may show you something. That's fine. But you don't judge a book by its cover until you get into the pages.
I think some people are, like, now that I'm on air, I can say this, and people can hear me say it. I think some people are, like afraid. They're afraid of seeing their idols and, like, their things they've grown up with, like, get, like, surpassed or, it's just like this, and this. And it's like, actually, it's not. It's not like that or any of those things. And then they do something different. They do something that surpasses that. But there are some people, I think, that are just really afraid of the idea of something surpassing that thing they love so much. Which, Rick. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen to me. It's gonna happen to Mikhail. It's gonna happen to any artist or writer. You're gonna create something that's gonna be really, really cool, and then something's gonna come up that's gonna surpass that. It's gonna take what you did and then do it even better. So you guys don't think you should? Do you guys think there's someone above making fan art? Above making fan art, like
because like you see these big people like Masashi Kishimoto and stuff, and they draw sketches of other stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think there's people out there that like are cheating themselves by thinking they're above making fan art?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, no doubt about that. Because I mean, that was me like 3 months ago. I was that guy. Like I have no problem admitting that. But as soon as I started doing the fan art, it turned around like complete 360.
It's weird.
You,
like if you
definitely be cheating yourself.
If you do fan art, it says something to your audience. I think in a weird way, it kind of like connects your audience to you. It kind of makes you seem like just more approachable, I guess. And people are like, oh wow, he likes this thing too. Oh, okay, he is a human being. That is it something about that? Oh wow, he's a fan of this. Okay, cool. Like
it's like a conversation topic. It's like being able to say, I have a connection with that person. Yeah. I get that.
And the real reason why that question came up is because we've actually been lashed out against for people that we spoke to creatively that were completely against it. Oh, what are you doing? Are you crazy? No, don't do that. Do your own thing. And then there are people that really don't have any belief in it. And it's like, well, look, every day. And just to break it down scientifically, I'm like, look, if you know the Batman versus Superman movies coming out, Toys R Us and everybody else isn't waiting. They got tons of Superman stuff and Batman stuff everywhere. So why wouldn't you want to create something of your style and art and put it out there into the universe for them to see?
That's literally marketing and advertising. Like that's what they do. When they know something dope is coming, everyone wants a piece of it. So they create something about it or of it to get a piece of that cake. That's business. Like, and I mean, it's not to say that you have to do fan art, but it will contribute heftily if you do fan art. Like, it will help you out considerably. I mean, in a way, much more significant, and I hate to say, and it sucks, but this is just the world. A lot faster than it probably would for you doing your own stuff, unless you got that one thing where it's just that one every blue moon where people just connect with it like that. And we can't all make that thing. You know, a lot of our stories either grow with time, or they have that thing that just like connects with you just from the moment you look at it. And you're either that or you're not. I'm not that guy. So right now I'm in the process of building my own. I'm building that stuff up, but I mean, it helps. And you could definitely be cheating yourself in one way or another by not doing fan art.
Yeah. What do you think, Nick?
Well, see, Mikhail's thoughts are not, like, our thoughts are, like, intertwined. So usually when he thinks, I end up thinking the same thing. I think something that happens is that people like to follow trends. So it's kind of dumb. Like, okay, if a movie comes out, you're going to see, like, Deadpool movie comes out, you're going to see a bunch of Deadpool art. Star Wars movie comes out, you're going to see Star Wars art. Zootopia movie comes out, you're probably not going to, you might see some Zootopia art. It's just something that happens. Or you'll be like Mikhail and just like continue with the Star Wars thing and do a Darth PA drawing, post it 3 minutes ago.
Just put that
out. It really kind of depends. But people will flock to it, and like I said before, you're gonna get that fan base much faster. Those numbers are gonna jump up much faster if you do a drawing of Mickey Mouse as opposed to doing your own stuff. People, this is how people are. You can't take it personally. You can't be like, oh, no one likes my stuff. Yeah. No, they don't know your stuff. They know all these other stories and franchises and what have you. So just kind of right.
I certainly don't take it personally, man. Like, thick-skinned all the way. It's like, look, if this is what gets you guys to up the chances of you actually buying something of mine, then here you go. You get fan art. Check underneath your seats. Fan art for days.
But it's cool. I mean, like
a fan art fairy.
Credit to y'all. Y'all do get creative. Like, I really like Nick, your Star Wars samurais. I thought those were really cool. I loved them all. I mean,
thank you.
Mikhail, you're doing the Star Wars crossovers with all these other universes.
Oh, bro, it's about that Ed and Eddie.
That's true.
Them Eds.
I told you he's going to be known as the Ed and Eddie guy.
Right.
Aren't you the guy that did? Yeah, Mythallica. No, Ed and Eddie. You did Ed and Eddie.
Yeah, you drew a picture of Ed and Eddie.
I would go through some of the groups that had like that picture was like shared like 10,000 times on Facebook. I would go and read through some of them. Oh my God, the comments people say are the funniest things on the planet. Like, they range from people loving it and people just downright hating it. And the people who hated it was the funniest shit. Like, I was crying, laughing, reading these people. Like, they were so pissed I gave Double D dreads. Like, there were so many people who were like, why the fuck Double D have dreads, bro? He doesn't have dreads. There's always some weeaboo that's got to turn old cartoons and anime. I'm like, dude, chill out. It's a drawing, bro. Are you okay? Are you cool? Calm down.
Having an aneurysm at the doors.
Like, people are passionate about their childhood shows. Like, they're 100% passionate of them, protective of them, and defensive. It's crazy.
Mikhail's a lot friendlier than I am when it comes to this. Like, usually, like, for me, it's like I just can't tolerate like stupid stuff. For example, if I post something, the Star Wars drawings, and then I see one comment that's like, "Oh, Samurai didn't have guns," I'm like, "Ooh, you have not done your research," and I have this horrible problem where I will personally take time out of my day, find that person's account, and then just give them like historical research. Like, here's why you're wrong. Okay,
And I'm gonna
like I'm that person. Like I'm just vain enough to go through and be like, I don't know what they think. Like,
some guy on the internet doesn't. Mom, some guy on the internet doesn't like my stuff. No, I was gonna say, Mikhail, you're probably one of the few people that likes internet comics. Most people I know that see comments hate them. They think they're garbage. Most creators I know.
I love them, man. I eat them for dinner. They are the best things in the world. Like, I'm the kind nothing gets to me, nothing at all. So I can look at people saying the most just harsh stuff. People are cruel, man. People are cruel as shit. To I don't know what happened. It's something in the water, but people just evil. People go for the jugular. They don't hold. I've had people where I make one response and they go straight to racial slurs. I'm like, damn, there wasn't even an escalation of that. He just went straight to the racial slur. But you can't let stuff like that get to you, because there's always going to be somebody that has something to say. People are always going to have something to say. So it's I learned to laugh at them, and it was the best thing I could have done because it's funny. It's hilarious.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think there's this detraction from not wanting to make your fan art because of two things. One, I think people don't want to hear it, but it is a marketing thing a lot of times. Like you said, Mikhail, your numbers through the roof since you started doing fan art, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of brings up the uglier aspect of creating comics is it's this labor of love. Doing art is this labor of love usually, and it brings in this business aspect of, all right, laborers of love usually don't make money. So how do I get to the point where I can make money? Mm-hmm. And I think fan art's a really good way to do that. Fan creations is a really good way to get your name out there. I don't think most people like to approach it like that. I think they like to think of it like I'm not cashing in on nostalgia. This is I'm making a piece of art. But I think most people I just don't think they get it. And I think it sucks. I think a lot of people are cheating themselves personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what Nick told me, which kind of helped, was when you do your own interpretation of these old drawings, people really appreciate that. They love seeing your own spin on, some of the characters that they grew up with, and that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, mashups and blending characters from two different stories together, people love that too.
It's Mythallica and Space Pop. No, but I wanted to talk. One of the big things I wanted to say in this podcast, if I said anything, it'd be this: you will never escape fan creations as a creator if you're in the comic book industry. Because I'm going to tell you this: if you're a writer and you make it in the industry, you're probably making your own comic. But generally, you're working with a company, and they want you to make a comic book. I'm going to tell you, look at DC, look at Marvel, look at Image. You're being hired as a writer to write their stories. Sorry,
a lot of the bigger creators that people are just now seeing come to the light of day think that they made it overnight, and that's one of the biggest things that people have a big misconception of. Dan Levisi with Levisi Art, everybody thought Last Man Standing just blew up overnight, when in reality he was working about 7 years for Microsoft.
I've been following him.
He worked for Microsoft among other people. Jake Parker, he worked on Rio. He worked on this. Scotty Young, the guy that made I Hate Fairyland, he was working on Marvel Chibis. He said, I hated making Marvel Chibis, but guess what? It put the money in my pocket long enough to do what I had to do. And let's not forget LaShawn Thomas, who had to work for Cartoon Network or whatever, doing the Afro Detective one. I forgot his Afro Dynamite. Yeah, a Black Dynamite. He was doing stuff like that before he could actually continue on with Cannon Busters. So everybody's had their way of doing things that they didn't want to do that. Like right now, I'm working full-time selling furniture for a living to pay for my comic book to take off to where I can get to the point where I'm going to write creatively. I'm doing something I don't want to do what I want to do.
Exactly. It's about that hustle, man. It just depends on how hungry you are, how much you want it. Because if you want it bad enough, you'll go and sell furniture if you got to make it happen. Yeah. Because you realize, look, I'm gonna make it happen one way or another.
Yeah, and this is just the journey that I have to walk to get to where I want to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta do those Charlie Brown drawings to get that. Hey, those let's do this.
But yeah, no, that's a big thing. Is like you're a creator, you go and you're going to end up, if you make it as a creator in the industry that we're in, you probably end up working for a big company for at least a little bit. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's all fan art. None of the characters you're drawing are yours. You draw Batman, you're drawing Batman, not your character. You're drawing Batman. You know, you're not doing anything original. You're
doing professional fan art versus independent fan art at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, you're getting paid $400 a page or whatever the numbers are paid, but you're still doing fan art at the core of it. And if you go to a convention, if you walk around a convention, everything is just fan art. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. Like there are so many rules to this, especially with the like American market. They'll say, oh, well, you know, it's illegal to do this and illegal to do that and blah blah blah. But you know, you overseas, like say, I don't know, like Japan, like their fan art thing is completely different. Like they're allowed to like sell that stuff. And then in America, like you said, you go to a convention, you're gonna see like just a bunch of fan art, a bunch of prints of different things. And though it's quote unquote like illegal, there are so many people that do it that they would have to crack down on like everybody, and no one's about to do that. Plus, it's kind of good. It's good for I think it's good for like the industry anyway, because people will end up looking at it and they'll end up becoming fans of it just based off of like something that you drew. They're like, you know what? I wasn't gonna pick this up until I saw it in his art style. Maybe I'll give it a shot now. That's just like how it works sometimes. But
it's always a really good way to showcase skill, like for the fact that like your talents lie within how you really take advantage of metal or the armors or the accessories and such and things like that, and attention to detail. So it's like when you take something that was just as plain as a stormtrooper outfit and you turn around and add the attention to detail with different armor and different things that are your specialty, people will pay attention to that and say, I like the way he creates armor, or I like the way he creates the villains. Like Mikhail always has been very expressive. His are very expressive and very in your face. Look at me, you can't deny me. And when he does that, and when people do that with certain pieces, you have no choice but to pay attention. And he's like, well, hey man, why you put dreadlocks on Ed man? And it's like, well, didn't you pay attention to it? You paid attention to it, didn't you? He jumped out and said you couldn't deny it. Then you couldn't deny it. So yeah, Jake Parker's doing those cyborg.
Yeah, those are cool.
Did you see the Stitch?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
that did.
He's going
like
for
just
it.
give me your let me just cut your hands off and just like replace them with my mind. Okay, let's do
I don't think that's safe.
Like just that dude badass.
But yeah, those are actually the fan art pieces I appreciate, is when somebody takes their own unique abilities and just showcases through someone else's work versus just creating something that is easy. Like go for taking your stuff and changing somebody's perspective on the normal Batman to this Batman, like the Final Fantasy creator. I don't know his name, I'm sorry, but the one that's recreating those Play-Kai art toys.
Oh, well, you mean
like the Spider-Man one you got?
That one's not Tetsuya Nomura, but Tetsuya Nomura did do the Batman one, I think.
Yeah, he did the Batman, he did Superman, Harley Quinn, the Joker. Like all of those looked unreal. Those were professional fan arts turning action figures, and they look sweet.
Yeah, those are cool, actually. If you haven't seen those are really cool figures.
Oh, I've seen them. I've seen them.
I'm not a figure person, and I would never spend $100 on an action figure, but I would spend $100 from those figures.
It's like you say that.
You say that.
You see, you're like, I would never spend. All you need to do is like, you need to just get your favorite character, and then you're like, I have to have that. I gotta have that.
Yep.
I was impressed. Yeah, this Batman one. I'm looking at this. I'm kind of like, why don't I own this one?
Yeah, man. That man was a bad boy. Then he did the cowboy one. I'm like, oh my god, they got the night version. I'm like, oh goodness.
Yeah, I gotta pick up the Venom one that they've done. They did Venom and it looks really cool. But
I want a Carnage one.
Oh. Yeah, we could sit here and just talk about these all day.
That's the power of fan art. Look at that. It's functioning. You know, we're here. We're like, look at Venom. Look at Batman. Like, that's the power of fan art. It's a conversation starter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not the thing about these figures that they're not. You know, it's something familiar, but it's something like radically different than what you're used to, and it works. Like, God, I'm looking at this Batman design now, and this looks really cool. I'm kind of like, why don't I own this? Huh. I think I'm not even like super big on Batman. Like, Batman's cool, and you know, he definitely has his place, you know, because he's Batman. But whatever this Batman is, like, if there was a Batman like just dedicated to like the Square Enix Batman, just the entire series of that, I'd be all over it. You know.
What about the anime style of the Batman thing that was on the internet not too long ago?
Yeah, showing the Shanghai version.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah.
But that's what fan art is. It's a conversation starter, and when you do it in your own style, you're able to influence people. You can like just get into little cracks in their mind, and they're thinking about it. They're looking at it. Like Jay said, people see Dreads on Double D, and they're like, "Look at that! What is that? I don't like that. I do like it." But they're paying attention to it. They're like, "I'm gonna go write Mythallica a hateful message."
I don't like Double D Dreads. How dare you?
No, it's powerful. One thing I do want to talk about, though, is the legal aspect of it. Like Nick pointed out, overseas it's a lot different than it is in America. Over there they have, like, what is it, dojins or whatever?
Yeah.
How you pronounce
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got all that stuff, and it's completely accepted over there. And believe it or not, actually, a lot of people over there get their start making those comics, those doujinshi.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to post an article for in the description of this, but you'd be surprised. Like, it makes names out, like those doujinshis. They make names out of people. They are the creators of overnight successes. And I'm curious though, like, what do you guys think to the American approach to it? Because the American approach is very much a tight iron grip. I know Nick in New York Comic Con, it's really strict.
I think it's eventually we'll get with the program. That's all I can say. Like, we just now,
like a lot of things.
We just now are starting to like see, manga is actually considered mainstream. It's like it's been mainstream for years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the way I look at it is like we'll get with the program eventually. Like, this is actually good for our market. Maybe we shouldn't make this quote unquote illegal because we're sour because we're not making all of the money ever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I say all this, but watch someone do like fan art of my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's the follow-up question is, what happens if one day you go to a comic con, and you see, hey, that's Dream Vesper fan art that guy is selling. He can't
do
do
you
that.
realize the pain that they would have coming upon them because he's pulling out his magnifying glass? And he's gonna expect
well, see, my thing is, if it's like better than anything I can do, I'd be like, respect, touche, bro, good job.
But that's the thing.
I give you that.
What if they aren't? Then it's like, oh crap.
And it's like, you take that down.
Get the cover. Run for cover.
Who said you could draw this?
I will end you.
Yeah.
I'm about to become Super Saiyan tonight.
Yeah, it really depends. Like, I think if it's well done, and it's a person did this like out of love, and people are just saying that they will pay for it, it would be really hypocritical to be like, oh, they can't do that. And it's like, I did this. Like, the thing is, I did those Star Wars drawings, and then people were like, hey, are you selling this? And I started looking at that bank account, and I was like, yes, I am. I am selling these. You know, you need to eat. You gotta survive. You have to. And really, it's just a good way. Like I said, it's not a long-term thing. It's not something you're trying to do for like the rest of your life. It's just something to hold you over until you can get that. I'm not trying to make a pun out of this, but get that dream project out.
Hint.
Yeah, hint. So buy more prints so I can finish this.
All right, Mikhail, what do you like? What do you think? I assume you're on the up and up on the legal aspect of it. How do you feel about it?
Don't get caught. No, I'm kidding.
Too late.
No, there's this wonderful thing called loopholes and parody, and when you do that, technically it's not illegal. It's all about how you do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really just all about how you do it. Like, I'm not condoning anything. I'm just saying, if you're gonna do it, at least be smart about it and realize how you do it is very important. So like when I draw Ed and Eddie, they're Ed and Eddie, you could tell, but they don't look like Ed and Eddie. So technically, if I wanted to, I can go. They're not Ed and Eddie. Where you got that idea?
This isn't Charlie Brown. This is Charlie Black.
Exactly. This is a whole different interpretation. This does not look. This is not a verbatim, point for point reproduction of the actual designs of Ed and Eddie. So. Does Double D have dreads in the cartoon? No. Does Ed have orange hair in the cartoon? No. So.
Just like point out that Mikhail's views do not represent those of J-Talk. No, it's true. It's like, actually, I do know, it used to be, I know it used to be, I don't know if it still is, if you were doing like a variant cover of something and you were making an allusion to something, you had to have 5 complete differences in order for it to be considered parody.
Mm-hmm.
I know that because I've talked to someone at my comic book store about it recently, and that's what they said, is that it has to have 5 points that are uniquely different to your specific work. So if you're ever going to say, hey, this is parody, make sure you're prepared.
Exactly. No, like my teacher told us that in school, like my illustration professor, my favorite professor, Professor Varga, he was like, look guys, because this guy, Professor Varga was a G. Like he'd just be like, straight up, look y'all, look, if you're gonna do it, then make sure that you change enough stuff to where they can't, say, hey, you completely, redrawing our stuff, and that's right. I mean, that's literally the Fair Use. I think it's the Fair Use Act, I believe. Where, it allows you to use certain things that you find on the internet, but you can't directly use you can't just copy and paste it. Yeah. It has to be your own interpretation of what already exists. And that's what parody is. So, I mean, I couldn't go and draw, these cartoon characters that look just like they are in the cartoons and then sell it off as my own. Or I couldn't take images off the internet of these cartoon characters that I didn't draw and compose them into a piece and make it my own. Like that wouldn't fly, because first of all, I didn't draw any of that, and second, it's a direct reproduction of the actual property. Yeah, but if you do your own spin, yeah, exactly. Like when you have your own style and as a part of it, it changes it. It makes you something else. It's just your own spin on a pre-existing identity, and you can do that. That works. Where a lot of people get in trouble is, a lot of people, you can go on Instagram and see this, where they literally just redraw, images that other people drew. Kira Toriyama has had more people redraw his stuff than anyone on the planet ever. It's all on Instagram. They just get some color pencils and they just redraw Goku 100 billion times.
I'll look that up.
And,
hashtag Dragon Balls. I was just getting ready to laugh.
Literally, they're all just redrawing images that they found on Google. I mean, I get one thing, the technique is good. They look good. They look clean, most of them. But it's just well, what are you offering, that's different from me just going to Google and seeing that same image?
Yeah, it's one thing to create fan art. It's another to just, rip something off and then sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think it's tough. As someone that likes to go to convention and support local creators and stuff, I've picked up my fair share of stuff that's copyrighted that they don't have the copyright to. I actually, above my desk where I'm at, I have this really cool lithographic print of a crossover between Wolverine and Vegeta, and it's really cool. But it's not licensed by either Akira Toriyama or, I guess, Viz Media or Marvel. It's completely fan-made. And I think it's tough for... it's the best of both worlds. The legal side is definitely siding with the companies. Without a doubt, legally, that's where the law kind of presides, is that you can't just go out and rip something off and sell it as your own. But on the same token, when you're encouraging people, parody this, take your own spin on this, do your own work, And that's what you send to companies, to Marvel and DC, to say, look at my art. Is you send them your own style of things. It's tough to then say, but that's all we want you to do, and you can't sell that. That's just going to be your life until you get a job with us. It's and you can't sell that. That's just that you're just going to have to work and sell us and give us the stuff until finally you're accepted by it. It's like, it's tough, you know? So I understand both sides. But
exactly.
Then again,
you know,
nowadays,
Disney, especially Disney, are cracking down on even fan projects now. Like, a lot of times, you've seen, like, there have been a lot of fan projects that have really just been being made, you know, to pay homage to the property. A lot of them, you know, have been being made completely for free, but they've been shut down. I think the most recent one.
He's so man. Are you trying to eat? You trying to eat? No.
We do this like almost every time we talk about Disney. Me and Nick do Mickey Mouse voice. I swear to God. But like I think the last group that I read that just kind of got struck down on YouTube was Team 4-Star. People who do Dragon Ball Abridged, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and all the Abridged series.
What?
YouTube recently just took down. I don't know. It may be back up.
It's back.
Is it back up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah, but the last time I saw that they took it down, I was like, why are they taking it down now? Like, this thing's been out for years. Like, why are you going after it now? But I've been seeing like this reoccurring like thing where a lot of these big companies are coming after the small dogs, especially the small dogs who are producing stuff on the level of the big companies. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a huge step for them. Disney don't play that. Mickey Mouse comes to your house and just jack you and your whole family and everything. Like, Mickey Mouse don't play that.
Yeah, and there's actually people say that Disney is one of the big reasons that there's been a huge crackdown at conventions. Like, because this is the thing. So with copyright law, and this is something that's playing out before us, is the internet, like, prior to like 2000, like in 2000 was like the wild west. No one really knew what was going to happen. No one really knew how it would function with copyright laws. And our copyright laws, we aren't set up for this. And ever since then, it's slowly been progressing more and more towards company power. And you see that now with things like Team 4-Star shutting down. It happens because people like Viacom sue YouTube for $1 billion, and YouTube's like, we don't have just like $1 billion to throw at every time that there's a copyright lawsuit. And that's kind of led to like conventions and fan projects, and now that stuff's at risk. And I don't think that's right. Like, that's definitely not cool. Like, if I create something, let's say, and I make it big, I'm okay if you want to do fan projects. Like, that's completely fine by me. I don't want to shut people down. But I do, on the same token, understand, like, this idea of, like, like, I'm working on a project for my entire career, and then someone, like who's, like, apparently, like, a lot of people in the industry say, like, it's tough to go to a comic convention, and you worked really hard to get to the position where you could sell these Batman prints and these Superman prints legally and not face repercussions. And then the guy next to you in the artist alley is selling them for half the price. And he doesn't even, he's not licensed or anything, and he's making more than you. So
yeah,
it's tough. Like, it's a really tough situation. I think you'll see it more and more that play out as A, copyright becomes this bigger issue we talk about, and B, fan art's becoming bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
There is one thing I wanted to talk about, illusions and stuff, like alluding to something else. Like, so my work is Dizzy. I pay homage to a lot of my inspirations. I like to wear my heart on my sleeve in my comic. Do y'all do that with your stories? Like, how do you approach that?
My God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Have you not?
Okay. Well, I don't know if Mikhail wants to go first. With me, I'm gonna be 100% with you. Like, this first chapter is heavily inspired by the Silence of the Lambs. And that's something that you probably wouldn't think I would like add in it, but I saw this movie again recently. Now I'm older, and like as I'm looking at like a lot of different like horror things, and that's pretty much what I give nods to. Little small things, like maybe it's a person's wearing a T-shirt that has like something, paying homage to that. And like just learning little things, but yeah, there's definitely nods to things that I like in my own stuff. You just gotta look for it. Like, you really gotta look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I actually like to when I first started writing Mythallica, it was being written as an homage to everything that I loved. I mean, from Lord of the Rings to Star Wars to One Piece to like even the stuff some people you probably haven't heard of, like Veritas. I don't know if you've heard of that manhwa. It's I think it's Korean manga. That's a really good one. There's this other one I used to read that I cannot remember the name of it, but it was like it was about this chick who was like in the SWAT team, and she was so badass. I can't remember the name. I used to read it a long time ago. If I could find it today, I would go nuts. Oh my god, I used to love that comic. But yeah, even a friend of mine gave me a whole stack of Chinese comics, because they have like their own little Marvel universe basically over there, and they have like this long list of stories. So I have a whole stack of those comics, and the way that they create their work is something that I also try to infuse into my work, from their paneling and just kind of the different elements that they add to it. So yeah, I definitely pull from multiple places and just be like, just put them all in the pot, stir it up, and make something new. Like,
yeah, I have to agree that when I started writing Infinite, it's completely it was completely different from what I started it as to what it ended up being. It ended up being molded into something that was paying homage or homage to a lot of the things that inspired me, like Mikhail said, Lord of the Rings, Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Samurai 7, so on and so forth. Like a lot of those stories, because I'm a huge person on likable protagonists and hero-esque things. So that's what really drove it. And I kind of beat myself up for it because I wanted it to be original, but I couldn't be mad at it because it's my personal project. It's like it's something. It's like a love note, a love letter from the heart of what's inspired me and what's even pushed me to go down the road that I'm going down. So I don't really regret it in the end, but at first I did.
But the funny thing is, the stuff that we're using, as inspiration for our own stuff, in its own way was in that same position where they were trying to pay homage to the dogs who came before them, like Kishimoto. Yeah. Like Kishimoto is the kid of Toriyama. Like, he grew up on Toriyama. You can see that influence on his work. Same thing with Oda. Like you can see the Dragon Ball influence on the earlier One Piece pages. I mean, what's his name? The dude that's Fairy Tail is basically Oda's clone. Like, you can see like people practicing their influences in their work. I mean, that's something even the people who are making money doing this, a lot of money doing this, are still doing.
Well, fun fact,
that's actually the nature of the game.
Bleach is as well. Bleach on there. Bleach was inspired by Inuyasha.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, another thing, there are a lot of comparisons. People kind of have thoughts about it, but not really big deal to me. A lot of comparisons between the earlier Naruto and Hunter x Hunter, which have a lot of comparisons between them. Like the whole Chunin exam arc is pretty much the tournament arc, the very first arc in Hunter x Hunter. But I mean, that was him, paying honor to a series that he loved.
See, that's something that I've been trying to do differently, because I know a lot of people they look at a lot like anime or manga when they create these things. But for me, it's there's not a whole lot that I would look at, but I look at very specific things that kind of do what I'm trying to do better. And I'm like, okay, how do I surpass this? But a lot of the stuff that you would think would be like the go-tos, like One Piece or Bleach, I don't really go for that. For me, I'm trying to look at a lot of films, and for me, I think that's just something about that. It just separates it for me, as opposed to I'm definitely inspired by by Bleach, or inspired by Fairy Tail or whatever. And it's like, so what was your inspiration for this? Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Silence of the Lambs, or I was inspired by something that Edgar Wright did. It's the influences are different. I'm not saying I'm not influenced by comics, because I definitely have a pretty good amount of comics, and my roommate, he has a bunch of comics. So comics are definitely discussed in this household. There's no question about that. But I think lately, as I get older, I look more at films and film reviews and why things work and why things are scary. I think my biggest my biggest thing is, man, I wonder how many people are gonna find out like how messed up I am. Like after they read this, it's like, you know.
But like Nick, you know, like I've told you this before, like film is the one thing that I really want to be doing. When you talk about doing something until you can do what you want to do, like film is where I'm trying to get. Like that's where I'm gonna be. Like that's the end game. That's where Mikhail Sebastian is gonna make a name for himself.
I'm right there
like,
with you, bro.
Like I always say, I joke with people. I tell them, I say my mom raised me, but TV taught me. Like I was like TV and movies were like my childhood, and I think a lot of that is what culminated even just like how I create my stuff now. Like I've watched more movies than I've read books. I can guarantee that. That's not something I'm bragging about, but that's just the truth. Like I've watched more movies than books, and it's because what I like about film is that it's a culmination of everything. When it's done right, it's the audio, it's the visuals, it's just the minor stuff, the composition of the frame, like everything is composed in an instant. Like there's an article about I can't remember his name, the director of Drive, and they break down each of his, like the shots that he used in the story and how they complemented the story and were still telling the story. And it's just so many intricate things that you can do behind that camera, and by just composing the shot a certain way and having the actors do a certain thing and have the music play certain notes. There's so much you can evoke all at once through film that I think it's I'm not saying it's not possible in other forms of art, but I think it's something that's easier to, exactly. It's harder to do in other forms of art, but it's something that's a lot easier to accomplish when you know what you're doing, you know, when you're doing it in film. And that's something I've always loved.
What I'm doing is like the reverse of that, where it's like I'm looking at film, but then I'm drawing it in a way or telling the story in a way that you're looking at it and you hear the things without there actually being like any sound, or like you see what's going on. And you can just kind of like put yourself in that world. You think that there's music, but there's really no music there. Like I'm just trying to like play with everybody's minds in a way with this. And it's hard.
It's definitely hard.
It's really hard.
No, like it's really tough because like let's say you have a song you want to have play. Like you want to have people listening to something you're saying. You know, how do you do that in comics? For most people, they just put like little musical notes next to it. That's how they signify it. But it's so much harder than that. Like on the outside, you have to immerse someone in your story. You have to get someone lost in your story before they can actually truly hear that. So I understand completely what you're saying, Nick. It's hard to get people into and immersed in your story for that to be like a song that they hear or a scene that they see. It's tough. I think like you do learn a lot from fan art just by observing other media. Like outside media influences you so much. Like I'm glad you pointed out reviews. You can go, like if you go and you watch a movie you like and you're like, okay, that's a good movie, what do the reviews say on it? And they'll be like, well, this is a lost tension. I'm serious. This is how you learn. That's how you grow.
It really is.
Where did you lose tension? Where did you lose this? How could this shot have been done better? It definitely works better. You know, there's movies that work better than others, and you can honestly learn a lot just by watching outside media and ingesting how they do it, like angled shots and horrors and stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed personally, and I did a lot of research into this trying to find my writing style for when it came to stories, because the only reason why I did this is because having a script sitting in my hand saying, can I walk into Sony or can I walk into somebody and say, hey, I'm a big deal, make my movie. They're going to look at me and go, get out of here, boy. I'm like, but this isn't even my final form. Get out of here, boy. They're not going to want to hear what I have to say, so it's like I turn to comic books. I've seen a lot of people that have had scripts that have turned that way, but my writing style won't allow me to write a shorter story, and I've noticed that a lot of my stories are longer, and what I found out was that I write in the 4-act structure versus the 3. And the 4-act structure is where you pretty much set up the world and let everybody know that you've created this. Then Act 2 is where you actually immerse people into this world and this lore and everything that you created. Then Act 3 becomes your Act 2, where all the action and the obstacles and the hurdles and everything takes place. And then 4 is where you wrap everything up and say, thank you for coming. Please buy more stuff.
That must be exactly what I'm doing. Like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a 4-act structure, and it's like those things came to play from watching movies. I was actually excited because I watched The Boy and the Beast yesterday. I got to see that in theaters. Phenomenal movie, by the way. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But it was a 4-act structure. It was like a 2-hour movie. But he did it right. He said, this is a world that you do not know and you will not understand. Now, in Act 2, I'm going to make you understand it and give you a reason to care about it. Act 3, I'm going to test your feelings and your thoughts on seeing if you really grasp what I'm saying so that I'm not mind-fucking you, as Nikolas says. And then Act 4, I'm going to see if you really were paying attention and resolve all of this and give you what you wanted in the end, a gratifying ending.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. There's like this secret underbelly to creating fan work. It influences everything you do to a degree. No, that's so cool. Yeah, I think it's important, like with fan work and when you're making allusions in your stories and you're paying homage, it's important to like wear it on your sleeve because like we're go ahead.
I was gonna say the funniest thing for me, it's like when I'm doing the story, it's like you're doing the things that you were never like hired to do professionally. So it's kind of like you're saying, here's why you should have hired me to do that job, but you didn't. So now I'm just gonna do it on my own thing, and you're gonna be like, oh man, I really wish I had gotten to do that. Yeah, well, too bad. So that's kind of like the way I approach it. It's like, man, I didn't get to do that really cool fight scene in that Spider-Man comic, but I can definitely get that same energy out in these panels, and people can see why.
They say success is the best revenge,
Exactly.
No, yeah, like wear it on your sleeve. Like earlier, we were talking about how people come up to you and say, "Hey, this thing you did, it reminds me of this thing in another comic, and you're a bad person for it." It's like wear it on. If you wear it on your sleeve, like, what are they gonna say? Hey, I know you're referencing something with something, or this character looks like something. What it's your inspirations, like zombies, for instance. If you make a Walking Dead allusion in a zombie comic, you're not making Walking Dead. You're making a comic and you reference Walking Dead, and people know, hey, this guy's read Walking Dead. It's important to make that distinction.
I think for me, it's like I get like salty when they get the influence wrong. I think that's what it is. Like, it's not even the, oh, you know what this reminds me of? No, it's when they get it wrong. I'm like, I'm not influenced by that at all. You put me in that category. Like, oh man, wow, you must really, really, really like, One Piece. And I'm like, what in my lifestyle made you think that I would like One Piece? They're like, oh, aren't you like, wow, this is a really cool armored design. It looks a lot like Groot. Were you really influenced by Groot? No, I wasn't. Just letting it out. Sorry.
This is a moment of clarity.
Jay and I joke around. This podcast is for our emotional sanity while we create comics. So feel free to vent. Okay. But no, it's true. Like it's frustrating. Like you want to make a reference. It's tough. Like I hate it because I like to wear my references on my sleeve. Like I said.
Josh, can I cut you off for a second, real quick? I just want to say this is exactly for you. As writers, being involved in other creative people, one of the struggling conflicts constantly. That's the most annoying thing to ever hear is, oh, that's unoriginal. Oh, that's not original. Oh, that's like so and so, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not the first person on the planet to think of this, but guess what? I am me, you are you. Do what you want to do, let me do what I want to do, because I love to create what I want to create. And to know that there are tons of people out there that I personally know that throw their dreams and ideas to the dark side because idiots come along and tell them, hey, this is unoriginal. Oh, this is just like this. This is just like that. To know that people are afraid to make that leap. I'll jump off the damn mountain knowing that I can build a plane on the way down. I ain't afraid of failure. and I ain't afraid of somebody thinking that it's original. So what? You scared? You scared? Get under your bed and hide away from Freddy Krueger. I'm gonna look Freddy Krueger in the face and say, "Hey, come see me."
Yes.
That's pretty inspiring, man.
Damn straight. That's what, bruh. Yo, you got me pumped over here, man.
That's what put me off like doing Dream Vesper for so long. Like I will never forget it. Like I was trying to do Dream Vesper back in years ago, like even in like high school, like early high school, and I had never heard of Neil Gaiman's Sandman. I had never heard of it ever, and I was like, I got this great idea, and blah 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 blah. And my teacher, Mr. Green, was like such a great. He's a fan. He's like, oh, so it's like, you heard of Sandman? And I'm like, no. He's like, oh, it's this comic with like, it's what you're going for, blah 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 blah. And it was just, it wasn't said in like the, hey, you should look at this. He was like, no, it's been done. And I'm like, no. And then I was like, no, I'm gonna keep going with this. And then like Inception came out. This is right when I was in college. I was working on Dream Vesper, then Inception came out, and I'm like, I can't do this. And I had to like change what I had because like Inception was touched on some similar stuff, but then I found about Paprika and saw like how they were paying like homage to that, and it's like, okay. But the point is like you would get discouraged, and I guess one of the biggest things that discouraged me was I was told like, oh, Inception had like this many writers on there, blah 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 blah. There's no way you could have come up with something like that on your own. And I was just like, what? Like it really got under my skin. So I think what I ended up doing was just working on other people's stuff, and I hated it. Like I just, and that's no knock towards anybody that's listening to this that I've done work for you for. It's just a personal thing.
Okay.
There was a Vesper in your dream trying to wake you up from the nightmare you were about to encounter. That's exactly what happened.
It's just like, Drew, you need to draw this story. But that's really what it boiled down to, was like me just kind of growing up here and be like, you know what? No, I'm gonna tell this. I'm gonna tell this story. And did the one shot, and people took to it, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can still do this. So that's what I'm doing right now.
See, that's what I always tell people, man. I'm like, the worst thing you can do is tell me what I can't do, because then you officially made it my life's mission to prove you wrong. Like
they're taking out a big canister of gasoline and say, "Oh, that's your fire."
Yeah, exactly. Let's just fuel that, because I'm just like, "Oh, thanks," because now I have to do it, because I'm going to do it because you don't think I can. Mm-hmm. Like I've had teachers that have told me that you're never making it in manga. Manga's not huge over here. Manga controls like the youth population of reading in this country, and has consecutively for years. I'm just looking at her like, oh, word? Oh, for real? That's what you think? That's how you feel? Okay.
A professor said this?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it there. I kind of had a question on those, but like she was like it was one of my professors at in the illustration department. But I had one teacher and my speech professor. And I remember the first day of class, she had asked us, "Oh, what she was like, what do you guys want to do, after you finish school?" And I was like, "I want to run Disney." And then she looked at me like, everyone turned around in the class like, "We want to do what?" I said, "I want to run Disney." I'm trying to be the Barack Obama of Disney. I'm trying to walk up in there and be like, "Yo, the first black person to run Disney." And when you say stuff like that to people, like y'all probably looking at me thinking, I think I'm crazy right now as I'm saying.
No, I know.
But when you but when I say stuff like that, like when I said it in that class, then people looked at me like I was crazy, and I'm like, yeah, keep doing that. Because the more you look at me like it's impossible, the more you're ensuring that it will happen. Because now I'm going to make it happen.
And that's just like the people that tell me I'm crazy for saying that I want, just like how you say you may want your story to become an animated series or film. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's impossible. Oh, don't look at what one did with One Pan Man. Oh, sorry for people that don't know, One Pan Man is One Punch Man. But the fact that people don't understand that what he did was a true breakthrough for people that just didn't believe it. It's like, even if it's one example, it's still this. But here's one thing I want to completely just put out there. No matter if it's been done before, there's only one Nikolas, there's only one Mikhail, there's only one Joshua, there's only one Jay Hero. There's only one of us, and we have a distinct way of telling things our way. So shut up and let us tell things our way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, I mean, you
don't have, but like they have no other choice because we're not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop.
No.
And Nick's not gonna stop. So like you can sit there and bitch and moan, or you can just enjoy the ride. That's the only choices you have.
You don't like the lyrics, like Jay-Z said, press fast forward, please.
Exactly.
No, I want to share this video with you guys after this. I'll send it to you all over Facebook. But it basically the whole thing boils down to: do you want to be done or do you want to be perfect? Because you can spend forever listening to people tell you this isn't perfect, this isn't what I don't like this. This reminds me of this. This is your story isn't perfect. And here's the big secret, guys. Your story is never perfect. And I
that was so sincere.
I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry to tell you.
I leaned into the microphone and said that to my soul. I'm like, what do you mean it'll never be perfect?
Stop becoming a Vesper, Josh. Leave him.
No, I'm not trying to like rain on anyone's parade. I'm sorry if it comes across like that.
No. I mean, no, you're right though, man. Like, it's actually striving for perfection is what makes most people end up quitting.
Yes,
because
exactly.
you're trying to fulfill this version of perfection, which just does not exist. It will be perfect to those who see it as perfect. You remember, art is in the eye of the beholder. It's about who's seeing it and what their interpretation of it. Like, it won't be perfect for everyone. Everyone's not going to like it. But for the people who do, it will be perfection in their eyes.
God, I know some people. I am so inspired right now.
I know some people who can't find, and I've been following, I mean, like most of us, we've been following Naruto since it came over into the States, probably before that. But I know some people who are diehard Naruto fans and won't admit anything's wrong with Naruto. I'm like, oh, word? Word? You know, nothing wrong with Naruto? There's something wrong with any story that you read. Hell, people hate the prequels to Star Wars. That's one of the biggest franchises in the world, but people still find something to hate about it. Yeah. Like, there's like that, like nothing is going to be able to prevent people, you know, or from people from finding imperfections in it, but you shouldn't strive for perfection. You should strive to be as you know, to the best of your ability. You should definitely strive for that, but do not strive for perfection. That's going to burn you out.
Right.
That's going to burn you out, and you never get anything done.
Feedback that I heard from even reading your Mythallica Lux Nova Volume 1 with people was they were like, it's a lot of dialogue. And I've heard that just in general, that it's a lot of dialogue. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Sure is.
Now, it is a lot of dialogue. He crams a lot of words into this book. But he's either going to do one or two things. He's going to learn from it, or he's going to keep doing it till he learns from it. But either way, it's a part of his growth.
But see, and that's what I told people. Like, somebody else mentioned, somebody else told me, you know, it's not enough action. I'm like, see, if I would have put too much action, y'all would have said it's not enough. Too much action. It's like it's always going to be something.
If you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's the case, then I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna trust my intuition. I'm gonna trust my guts, and I'm gonna do what I know to do. And like you said, I'm gonna get better. Exactly, and like you said, I'm gonna get better as time goes on. Like, I know that for a fact.
Just fuck everybody up. There's no words. There's no words.
But like you said, that's that 4-part, you know, a story arc. You know, you gotta get people familiar with the world. Like I always say, I've been telling people, like, the next volume I'm working on now, that one has a lot more action in it, like a lot more action, because I've established what I wanted to establish in the first volume.
So that you can give the damn action meaning. Why does other people not understand that, man?
So that it means something. If I just
I've been meaning to make a blog about that.
Like, if I just show them throwing punches from the beginning, where's the substance in that? Yeah, there's no substance. So I would rather hear them say there's a lot of dialogue, but at least it means something to the story, than them just being like, they're just fighting for no reason.
Hang on, guys. I gotta step away from the computer real quick. I'll be right back.
Right.
Yeah, but give it momentum, give it meaning, give it feeling, give it something. Don't just throw it out there, because if you go through a 7-chapter volume and you realize 6 fights that went by and you're like, what in God's name were they fighting for?
Exactly.
Is it because it was because of cheesecake, that one chapter, and it was because of the wrong shoelace color on that one? It's no way, man. So it's like that's very important, and that's one of the things that we all love about some of our bigger stories. Like, I was a Naruto fan until One Piece. because One Piece gave it more weight and momentum when it went into certain action moments, a lot more than Naruto did, because it was so spread amongst all those other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But when certain scenes came up that were memorable, you remembered them. Like, you remembered the pain that Pain had. You remembered the pain that, you remembered the failure, but the achievement that Rock Lee wanted, and the pain that Guy felt when he had to step in, to the pain that you felt after you realized what happened with Gaara, to so many other things. And it's like, if we never learned anything from the fan art, if we never learned anything from the fan art that we appreciate, we would never grow as people, or as people that want to create in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
And like you said, it's a great comparison with the Rock Lee situation, because there was so much story building up to that part for him. There was so much mystery behind him building up to that fight, and to see him get to that fight and then lose was a great development for him as a character, because it showed, even though he was the guy that Sasuke was trying to beat, that Naruto was trying to beat. He was like one of the top dogs. Got to that fight and lost.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of, not only did it show, okay, this tournament, this competition is a lot tougher than it looks, but it also showed that, it showed Rock Lee as being one of the people who can't use ninjutsu, but that dude could fight. He held his own.
Whoop your ass.
Great development. But yeah, that's what someone told me before. They was like, it may be dialogue heavy for some stories, but a lot of stories you gotta have that substance. You gotta lay that foundation first before you just go to the cool stuff.
I want to throw this out here really quick, Mikhail. How long did it take you to produce the first? How many years did you have the idea of Mythallica in your head? And so you got to the point where you put pen to paper and you made the first volume.
7 years.
7 years. Jay, how long? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it was 3 years before college and the 4 years in school.
Mm-hmm. Jay, how long did you have the idea for Infinite in your head?
3 years.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I've been writing stories since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have, as independent
creators. What about you, Nicholas? Sorry.
Wait, is he back? I don't know if he's back or not.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, yeah. How long have you had the idea for Dream Vesper then? How many years?
God. Since, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about, since early high school? Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, and here's the thing. No one pays us to make these. We make these ourselves. Mm-hmm. We fully fund out of pocket. And I'm willing to bet all of us do some kind of work outside of making our comic to fund our comic, to fund our story we're creating. We do not have the luxury of getting paid page by page by page. It's hard. It's not easy. And so that's why, when you produce something, it's so gratifying to hear people say things. That's why I'm really pro fan art and creating fan art, and even fan fiction is it's this release of doing something that you can do outside of work, where you're not forced to work tooth and nail until you've given all you can for the story, and then have people not pay attention to it. Have people complain about it. Like with Mythallica, it took you years to get to the point of being able to say, "Here's my first chapter." Oh, it's too much dialogue.
Yeah, I had people saying stuff from the first chapter, the very first chapter. I was like, yo, I didn't even can I get to the second chapter?
Yeah, exactly. We don't have. We live in this age, this information age, where everything's at our fingertips. Where I can go and read a comic on Tapastic, and if you look at all the really successful ones, a lot of the ones I know have been running for years because they get to build that backlog of where you can have more than your volume 1. You get your volume 1, volume 2, and it's not just there's a lot of dialogue. It's there's dialogue, there's action, there's weight behind movements.
And another thing too, I think, is that we're so our attention spans are so much shorter nowadays. So people want you to get to the point so quick. Yeah. But then if you were to do that, they wouldn't be satisfied either. So it's people want instant gratification, but in order for you to tell a story, you can't to tell a story correctly, or a good story, you can't just give everything out on the first chapter. You give everything out in the first chapter, what's there to look forward to?
Man, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's the same.
That has been my week. Oh man, that's so accurate, because you sit there and you're trying to you want to give the quote unquote fans, what they want, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to spoil them, and then you don't want to like just give them too much of it, because then they're like, oh, okay, well now what, and then they don't really come back. It's like, oh, okay, that's I know everything now. You have to keep them hooked. So I mean, you putting like a lot of dialogue in there, Mikhail, like it's for a person that has read, Death Note, that's dialogue. If you can stomach that, then you're fine. It's the attention spans of people. Some people they look at it and they're like, oh, when's gonna get to the good part, and then they're not realizing that the dialogue is the good part. It's like you need that, and be like, oh, okay.
And like the funny thing is, I've like in that first volume, I did put a lot of like a lot of information as far as the Solarian in that first volume, but it's literally nothing compared to their actual lore, their biology, the way they actually function. It's not even the tip of the iceberg. It's absolutely nothing. So to hear people say that, it's like, oh, I'm glad you. It's funny that you think that, because that's you. I've told you nothing yet. I've literally told you absolutely nothing yet. But if that's what you think already, then cool. Because like this story is it has the lore and it has the mythos and everything behind it, so it's expansive and it's big. There's a lot of information. So this is not even the tip of the iceberg of it. There's going to be a lot more dialogue. You're reading a book. I mean,
you are reading.
I expect that you have to read. So, I mean,
there should be a disclaimer on your book.
I can't apologize for doing exactly what I set out to do, which was make a book for you to read. So, I mean,
this book must read.
This book may contain words that you have to read. Caution.
Oh.
You might have to use your brain a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's funny. The complaint of like, this is too dialogue heavy. It's like, you should see what's in my head.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I was trying to be nice. I was being lenient. I was just write everything that's in my head. Just be like, ah.
Yeah, everyone's had that moment where they're like, have you heard about this is my new story idea, and this is blah, 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 and you spend like 30 minutes explaining it, and they're like,
this happened. The exact reason why it's so hard to write a one-page summary or a one-page pitch for your story. No, I struggle with that every day.
It took me ages to find out Lux Nova's like one sentence pitch, because it was like, it's like, dude, how are you really gonna sum this up in one sentence? Like, there's no way you can do that. Eventually, I got to it and it ended up working, but it took a while to get there. It's difficult. It's not easy at all. It's very, very hard, especially when you're making a story like that you plan to be expansive, to be big.
That's the catch. Yeah, that's the catch.
Because you want to culminate all of it in there, but I mean, naturally, you can't do that. You have to get what's important.
This is true.
No,
I'm saying all this like I have a book out, and I'm like, no, I'm just working on it right now.
You got a one shot, man. That's more than most people.
Yeah, it's true.
You ain't lying,
completed
bro.
Something, yeah.
You got something that's done.
Yeah, done is better than perfect.
Yeah, that's true. But that one shot, I'm letting you guys know now, like this is gonna be a lot more than the one shot. That's for sure. And there's some twists that, huh?
I said we're already seeing the transformation. Like, you threw me off with Lace's redesign. Like, at first I was like, Nick, what is this? whoa, hold on here. And then when you started, like, basically it was like you got smacked in the face with something new, and it's like, okay, I hate it, but I don't hate it. But I like it, but I don't like it. Okay, I hate it. And then it was like, wait, there's more. And then the more that came out, it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. I'm there. I got you.
Why did he do that? Oh, wait a minute. He does know his story better than all of us.
I mean, his story.
I've read 5 pages of this.
So it's like, okay, I see. Oh, why is there so much dialogue? Oh, volume 2. Oh, okay. I get it now. I didn't beat up Ichiro Oda for this, but I'll beat up this random guy that made this one manga. But I get it now. It makes sense. My Legos click. Great.
I didn't criticize this one guy who produces a chapter a week. But this one guy who spent 13 years making one story, man, he's in for it.
I can't wait to tell him what I think.
Can't wait to tell him his life work sucks.
The question I've been waiting to ask you two is this, and this is from last week's podcast. I wish you guys could have been a part of, but if you could choose for your story to be a game, what kind would it be?
Do you?
That's exactly why I waited. And I told Josh we have to add this one to the questionnaire.
I'm excited for this.
Oh man, mine would be a Square Enix game, like entirely. Oh well, no, you know what? Mikhail, you go first, because I am very specific with what I want for this. You go first about this.
Yeah, what kind of game would it be? Like style-wise, what kind of game would it be?
See, like mine has levels. Like I would want to start off with like old school 2D platformer type game, Street Fighter style. Yeah, like more like Street Fighter style. You know, like just 2-player combat fighting system. Because I've always loved those games growing up. And then like when I'm like balling and like Mythalica's like a thing, and it's like, yo, Mythalica's coming out with something new. People actually care pretty much. What I would want to do is I would want to make kind of like that game that's coming out, No Man's Sky?
Yeah,
No Man's Sky. Where it's just like, because it's the Mythallica universe. Like, No Man's Sky is literally what I would want to do. Like, I would want to make a game where you could just travel the Mythallica universe, go to planet to planet, find all these different species and shit, and just, like, pick your own species. Like, that would be my go-to dream game.
So No Man's Earth, Destiny...
Exactly. Destiny, but expanded. Yeah.
Okay.
Open world. Like, that's what I would want to do.
What Destiny should have been.
Yeah, exactly. What it should have been.
Wow.
That's fair.
Like, I would want the player to be able to travel throughout this entire universe, see Solarian on different planets, or see all these different other species, and just, oh man, that would be awesome.
Fly with Gensu, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, man, just have some fun.
Man, I think for me, when Dream Vesper is a game, like I would definitely want it to be done by Square. That's not even a question. Like Square Enix all the way for that. But it would probably play something like have you guys heard of a game called Psychonauts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would be like Psychonauts meets like Kingdom Hearts meets Devil May Cry. If I had to put it, meets like whatever the new Final Fantasy game is like, because that aesthetic. But it would be something like that in my head. Reason why I would say Kingdom Hearts is because there's a lot of like world traveling. It's a lot of world traveling. But Devil May Cry or even Silent Hill, because like you would have those dark undertones in there. But at the same time, Psychonauts, because you would have that like topsy-turvy, like warping, spinning around, like just the craziness in there, and the humor. Like the humor would have to be in there. Like I wouldn't want this to be something that's so takes itself so seriously that it's no fun. Like there's got to be some kind of jokes. But there's a lot of like over the top stuff that you can only do in like a dream sequence, like him using skateboard tricks on his sword to like cut enemies and have like stuff like that. It has to go in a game like that. But I would definitely want it to be Square Enix, like hands down.
So like an RPG or a third person adventure game. Right. Yeah. I agree. Like I told everybody that for Infinite it would be more like an RPG game where you go around and you can do the journey and the travel, but when it goes into the battle sequence, it will go into the battle sequence of like the Naruto Storm games.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate that.
Storm 4 is just ridiculous.
Dude, I posted some videos last night when I was playing it.
It's just like they said, yo, fuck if this happened or not in the manga. Let's just go. These dudes are gods now. Like,
oh yeah.
I think Storm is like it executes so much of the manga that I didn't really care for it. It made me care about it. Like
yes.
Like in that conclusion, so much of it, like it just made me. It was like, oh my god.
Attention to detail, absolutely. Because you get immersed into the battles. You actually start to feel and see things that you didn't feel and see.
Like I have to give them their props. They really pulled out all the stops in this game. Like
It feels like the last Naruto game, and I would be proud for them, and they should be proud to call it the last Naruto game. It's just, I mean, even like the menu cards and like the illustrations during the story mode, it's just really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand clap to you guys.
So I am curious. One question I do want to ask about fan art before we like close out everything is like, what do you like? Okay, so you guys, let's say you guys make a living doing fan art. Would you rather do that or commissions? Which do you prefer?
Fan art.
Because at least I can draw what I want to do. Look, commissions, pay sales. I love it. It's awesome. Oh my god, the commission process is not fun. That's all I'm going to say on it. Because I'm actually working on commission for people right now, so I'm not going to say too much. But, like, the commission process is not fun. So.
Yeah, definitely fan art. Like commissions. It's like you do them, and then there's that tiny part of you like, I should be working on my own stuff right now. I think I'm gonna do that.
You know, one of the things I would like to touch on with commissions is being a writer having to pay people is that one of the things that I thought that I've appreciated from the artist standpoint are the artists that take time away from their dreams and their goals to help another get to theirs. But one key thing that gets under my skin the most, and I've been vocal about this since the start, is I hate when the people on the receiving end of the commission work don't understand or grasp the concept of what's going behind your guys' work. So like I took it upon myself, like Josh said, to try to do something minute like that, and the level of work that went into just doing that alone made me have another form of appreciation for what you guys do. But also, if you're going to work with somebody that's a creative person, my job is only to write everything out. Your job is to create it. And if I'm going to be controlling over you creating it, then there's no point in me commissioning you.
See, my issue is, and what I've ran into a lot with people who commission me sometimes, is that they'll commission you based on your work, right? Your style, they love your work, blah, 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 they love it. But then they'll say, but can you draw it in Attack on Titan style? I'm like, the fuck? Do I look like Attack on Titan dude, whatever his name is? No. Why would you commission me to do work, and the premise for you commissioning me is that you love my work? Why would you commission me and tell me to draw like somebody else? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. If you want the bang for, if you want to get the most out of your money, then get what you're paying for. You're paying for me. You're not paying for me to replicate somebody else's style. I can. I'm not saying I can't do it. I can do that. But why would you want me to do that?
Well, then the price goes up and they go, are you mad?
Exactly.
Yeah. See,
that's a good
me,
way to turn
I'm a little bit more. I used to be really passive about this. I used to be very like, it's whatever. And then I realized, no, I'm pretty okay at doing character designs. Like I kind of know what I'm doing when it comes to that. God, who is messaging me right now? What? Okay, I'll check on that later. Anyway, but there comes a point where you have to tell the person that's commissioning you, like, hey, let me design this. That's why you came to me, is because you like how I draw things. Let me draw it how I would draw it. I guarantee you're going to be much happier. And they, they zip it, and then they let you do it, and they're like, oh, wow, this is a lot better than what I thought. Yes, because that's what I do. That's why you came to me.
I always tell them, just like, if you want to get your money's worth, then let me do what I do.
Yeah.
Then that way, every penny that you're putting towards is gonna come back to you 100-fold.
Because like your job really is like you take what they've given you, and then you're like, okay, but I see something that they don't, and then you touch on that, and like you exaggerate certain things, and then they look at it and they're like, whoa, you took this and made this like even blah 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 blah. Thank you. And then then they end up like using that one. Now it's not to like blow yourself up or give yourself a big head, but it's just more so like knowing what you're good at.
Respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you practice long enough to know what you're good at. So, when you come to me and approach me to do work, then understand that this is years and years of practice.
that has gone into me doing what I do. So I'm not saying I fully know what I'm doing, but where I am now and for what you want, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's some times when like you get orders from clients and they give you these like designs or these like suggestions that just don't work, and you have to like explain to them. You do realize that this doesn't work. Like, oh, I want this and that and this kind of, the swords to be here. Like, that's impractical, right? Like, you just know that doesn't work as a design. No, man, if you could just do it, like, please, just trust me. Because it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be, the artist for that. Like, I don't want someone to look at that and be like, man, that guy doesn't know how to design characters. Because that's what they're going to look at. They're not going to look at, oh, he was commissioned. They're going to be like, does that guy know how to design things? Does he know that combo doesn't work? Like, I guess not. I guess we can't hire him. You know what I mean? There's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, there's this awkward outside inspection. So like I write comics and I do the panel 1, panel 2, page 1, page 2.
Okay.
All the people I sent my script to, they're like, don't do that. Which amazes me, because every time, when I did all my research, like when I was like, I'm making a comic, I did all my research. Everyone said, you panel it. You, as the writer, say, I want this year, this year, this year, this year, this year, this year. I panel it. All the professionals, that's how they do it. But then, like, I sent it to people, and they're like, no, don't do that. I was like, what? But it's true. Like, there is a bit of this. We have this advantage of there's this artistic freedom to say, I'm gonna write as best as I can, and I want you to create the story as best as you can. Mm-hmm. So, that's one of the advantages of doing indie is being able to take advantage of that. You get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because like every artist is different. Like some people, they work better with there being no like super like strict like descriptions of what you should draw, and some people they need every single thing like spelled out for them. Me, I'm the kind of person to where you give me a brief description and then let me just run with it. Yeah. It just works out better because it just works out better. I can't explain that either.
Well, you're not stifled. Your brain functions with this attention to detail, and my guess and my psychoanalysis expert job of this, I'm guessing you probably have this attention to detail, and you probably see all this stuff, and they don't see that. A lot of people don't see that. I don't when I send that description, and so a lot of people you're just there stuck like, this is so boring and bland.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that's so true, because you're sitting there like, this would be so much better if they just did this. And I have to end up calling the client or texting the client like, hey, can I do this thing because this, and that, and X, Y, and Z, and it would just look so much better if I do this. And they're like, wow, you know what? Actually, yeah, that works. I'm like, thank you. And then I end up doing that, and then I do a little bit more, and I don't show them anything until it's done, and I've done the next part. I find that if you suggest one thing and then you just finish it and then show them, they're like, wow, that looks really cool. They don't have time to go back and nitpick and be like, oh, could you take this out or take this out or change that? When they see a finished product, they're like, wow, that looks cool. If you show too many work in progresses, you're going to get people that are like, no, change this or change that. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. That's why I offer 2 changes.
2?
Yeah,
wow.
I give them 2.
Wow, you're a lot nicer than I am.
That's how you get. Use them wisely.
This is a great discussion, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's funny.
No,
appreciate it. No problem, man.
Fan art's important. Never forget. You make it in the industry. You're drawing fan art. It's a great tool to use now. You can grow your brand and your image. If you ever get discouraged about fan art or feel like it's not working out for you, just remember 50 Shades of Grey started as fan art and fan writing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know, Nick? You didn't know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
It started off as Twilight fan fiction, right?
Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah. It was with Rob. It was with Ed and I don't know the names. What's
Bella.
The girl? Kristen Stewart. There we go. Yeah. Them 2.
Yeah, that's how it started.
And another
actually, a lot of stories started off as fan fiction.
And that got a movie.
Yeah, and publishers pick it up and go, hey, just change the characters' names. It's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's basically it. Just change the names.
What? And I'm sitting here racking my brain trying to come up with it, and that's all you have to do.
Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, walked into the place and said, I want to create this comic book. They said, sure. What's it about? Or give us the grand thing. He tells them that the zombies were brought to Earth by alien forces and implanted there to wipe out the human race. They said, oh my God, that's awesome. You got the deal. Long story short, after he got the deal, he said, yeah, there's no aliens. I just needed to get the deal.
So, thanks, guys. And now this dude's calling the shot that he wants.
Yeah, he's one of the big image guys. So never forget. Stay creative with your fan art and your fan creations. My name is Joshua Harper. I'm your host, joined by my esteemed co-host, One Hero.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much.
We enjoy it.
See, this is the character development we were discussing this podcast.
We're joined this week by the two talented Nikolas Draper-Ivey, Ivy with an E.
Yeah, Josh.
And Mikhail Sebastian, writer of Mythallica Next Nova. Nick does Dream Vesper. You'll catch them both coming out soon, hopefully. All right, we'll see you guys later.
All right.
No, I'm not doing that on this podcast.
You said what?
When are they coming out, huh?
They're putting people on blast.
They're putting me on blast for that. I'll say this. No. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna pull up to 2 in the morning. Like we are working very hard on this. Please be patient. Ha ha ha.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.